This morning we turn our attention onto Job chapter 7, and it's just like going into a funeral ground and then visiting a loved one who has lost someone who is so dear to. Most of the time we go in to comfort the people. What about when the person is on sick bed and then you go into hospital or you go home? How do you support such a person? That's the question. Do you only go down and see him and then have a solidarity with the person? Or do you go and you pray? Or what do you do when you visit someone who is in pain and in trouble? And I tell you that the only person who can speak on your behalf is the one who knows you. And it has been recorded in the Bible that a true friend is the one who knows you and still loves you. It's not the one whom, when you are in trouble, they begin to put up a narration and then run away from you just as a cover-up to say that, well, that's what we are born to face. But I tell you, a true friend will only show up. You will only know them when you are in trouble, because a true friend is the one who knows you and then he still loves you. The word is still. He still loves you regardless of the condition that you are in. A true friend will always show the colors of love towards you. So that's the distinction mark that I begin to know who is my friend. And then they said friends are born for adversities. So that if you have a friend that can only come in when you have parties, and when you are in trouble, they say goodbye or stay distance away from you. It's sometimes I try to find a way to look through to find a good friend. When I see that you are approaching to be a good friend, I put up scenarios and I see your response just to make me be very sure of the relationship I am going in. I try every relationship before I just can say that you are my true friend. Job has been in this dilemma, and we heard about Eliphaz coming in with all disturbing dreams, capturing everybody's thought. And I'm saying that in the old days, when the intellectuals meet, people flock to go and hear the intellectuals. It's called intellectual athletics, where you begin to speak on philosophicals, so people can just come in and be cheering you on. So it is time when Eliphaz started speaking, and you could see that the whole place was quiet. But with his sensationalism, some sensation touch, talking about the dreams and then having spirits revealing something to him, you could just say that what is coming next? But he disappointed all his hearers, not to the majority of people standing, but me that have really watched the scriptures very closely. This is nothing new. And this is God. Who can fight God? Whose counsel will outweigh God? And so there is nothing new that Eliphaz provided. And so last Saturday we saw how Job responded unto him that it is good that you came. It is good that you spoke philosophical. But one thing I want you to understand, none of what you spoke was good to my health or brought any benefit unto me. So now in chapter 7, here is Job continued. Job devoted 2 chapters to respond unto Eliphaz's discourse. So now he stays here in the verse number 1 through verse number 3 he reads. This is how Job extended, and that is it. He said, is there not an appointed time to man upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of an hireling? Is a servant earnestly desired the shadow, and as an hireling looketh far the reward of his work, so am I made to possess months of vanity, and wearisome nights are appointed to me. What is he saying? Job has no relief from his sorrow or from his pain. He is very sick man, and his friends seem to ignore that. They have not offered him any comfort. Even his wife has, who is his helpmeet, has suggested suicide to him when his world caved in. He became a distraught and frustrated man to be pitied. So he goes on to say in verse 4 through 6, when I lie down, I say, when shall I rise? When shall I arise? And the night be gone, and I am full of tossing to and fro unto the dawning of the day. My flesh is clothed with worms and a cloud of dust. My skin is broken and become loathsome. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and I spent without hope. I tell you, when any person stands around and you hear such a man narrating, the only person people on this line that can understand will be Dr. Uju, Dr. Jude, and others, because this is practically scientific and this is a diagnostic about us. He is simple telling you, my fever is worse. That's what Job is saying. So Dr. Uju can diagnose this man and say that this man is falling into hallucination. The fever is getting too high, and he's speaking out of his mind. And that is actually what is coming. Job apparently felt he had an incurable disease, and that the end was coming and was not far off. He probably did have such a disease. In all this, his friends paid no attention to his problem. They have come to him, but have not ministered to his need. They just didn't understand. It has been said over and over, a friend is the one who knows you and still loves you. These friends didn't really know Job. He says that at least his physical condition should have called forth some sympathy from them. Look at what he said in verse 13 through verse 16. I jump up from verse 6 to verse 13 through verse 16. When I say my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint, then thou scarest me with dreams, and terrifieth me through visions, so that my soul chooseth strangling and death rather than my life. I loathe it. I would not live always. Let me alone, for my days are vanity. It seems that his fever drove him to the period of delirium and then more hallucinations. Look at the verse 17 through verse 19. What is man that thou shouldest magnify him, and thou shouldest set thine heart upon him, and that thou shouldest visit him every morning and try him every moment? How long wilt thou not depart from him, nor let me alone till I swallow down my spittle? He wishes, this is Job, he wishes he could just die in peace. He wishes that God will let him alone. He senses that he is being tried, but he hasn't any notion what is really behind all this. His reaction is the reaction of many. Just leave me alone in my misery. Now verse 20 and 21, then I close. I have sinned. What shall I do then thee? What shall I do then? What shall I do unto thee? O thou preserver of men, why hast thou set me as a mark against thee, so that I am a burden to myself? And why dost thou not pardon my transgression and take away mine iniquity? For now shall I sleep in the dust, and thou shalt seek me in the morning, but I shall be no more. This is what Job is saying. He's saying they have raised a question, the question of Job's sin. Job doesn't claim to be guiltless. He admits he has sinned. But why should he be selected for this special attack as a notorious sinner? Why should his life be a burden when he is not that kind of a sinner? Why doesn't God show mercy on him? Why doesn't God pardon his sin and restore him? While he admits that he is a sinner, he says that he is getting more than he deserves. While he admits that this is not the hand of man, but the hand of God. Why can we can see in Job's breaking down of his integrity? You see, all what the devil was trying to penetrate the wall of fire around him, he could not get from the beginning, he could not get through because this man's integrity was intact. When even the wife told him to curse God and leave, Job said that the Lord giveth and the Lord takes away. His integrity was intact. But until these friends came in and they started loading some kind of accusation that has no bearing to what is going on. Are you saying I'm so a criminal that God should paint this picture? Then this is it. If it is, I am a sinner. But then should God meet me with such a kind of outrageous troubles? Is my sin equal to these kind of troubles coming upon me? Can a man bear these troubles with such a sin that I have committed that I don't know? So you see, it is the people who came in that pushed Job into doing what? Breaking down on his integrity. And you can know that the devil was really happy. If the devil can break down the integrity of a child of God, regardless of how spiritual you were yesterday, how spiritual you were 2 hours before your breakdown of integrity, the devil applauds and he comes down on you like a ton of brick. The devil knows how to fight. He knows the sense and the smell of sin. So the moment he begins to see that your integrity is compromised, he now comes on the full load, full-fledged, to make a massacre of you. This is the thing that happened to many a man today who attempts to fight life alone. He begins to hit the bottle or he drops into sin. Satan has a chance to attack him because the man's integrity was broken down. This is the situation with Job. Will Job break under all of this? That's the question. You are going to break down. The moment that you allow your integrity to be broken into, you will break down. Somebody will tell me, Pastor, can you now break it down? How do I break my integrity? You'll be spiritual enough. You fasted 40 days and 40 nights throughout this year. We have known you. You are even going on almost like a fasting for 90 days walking with God. God knows that. And everyone can smell that your spirituality has attained to some level. All of a sudden, you break out from your fast. The hedge of protection is so strong, stronger than ever. Then all of a sudden, your wife does something, your husband does something, and then all of a sudden, you break in anger. The devil knows that. The Bible says that anyone who even says to your brother Raka or in anger, you will visit hell. It is not about that. It is because the enemy will be able to break into your kind of hedge with a little anger comes into you. You are vulnerable to the attack of the enemy. Look at all your spirituality. Look at everything that you did was right. But little anger will compromise your integrity. And that is when the devil can come in. When he sees that he cannot, he's always hovering. The Bible says that he always roars like a lion, hovering and taking the chances that he can smell something going on in your home. Remember, even if a dog, you are coming home, by the time you will be in your car, by the time your car will be parked in your garage or will be parked in your parking lot, if anybody can tell you in the home, you will see that your dog will be at the door, waggling the tail, showing indication that the master is coming in. How on earth did the dog smell that the master, when you were in your car, how did the dog know that you were coming home? If dogs can smell you're coming home, I tell you, the devil has a smell of sin. So much he is a sin himself. So he can smell anything that can make him attack you, because the devil cannot live inside you. But he is made to attack when he sees the child of God broken down on integrity. The moment you begin to even have a kind of thought of asking why, and then you are approaching to the edge of your life, that why me? Why do you allow such thing to happen to me? That means that you are getting into being proud. Pride is setting in, and the devil can attack you. Just asking a question, God, why have you allowed this thing to happen to me? You have compromised your standing, because why? You are becoming too proud that you are somebody that shouldn't have this kind of trouble. The moment you ask why, you are vulnerable to an attack. You see, it is not the practical sin per se or sin. Anything that will compromise your integrity, the devil can attack. Can you imagine? After you've done that, you said you want to go and have a nap, because the devil could not see you. If you wake up too much and you are staying, he will make you sin. And all of a sudden, after you had an anger or an exchange with your wife or your partner or whoever, and then all of a sudden you go back to sleep, trust me, you will have a weird dream. A dream that you will see in different categories, and then you wake up. Why? And you will see that there was an attack. Sometimes your wife or someone whom you really quarreled with will hear you shouting in your dream. Said, oh, I had an attack. The hedge has been broken. When the hedge is broken, the enemy can attack you, regardless of how spiritual you are. So when he could not get you awake, you went to sleep. So he came back to choke you. He will choke you even in your sleep, and therefore you will rise up. So we have to be very, very careful with the devil. We have to monitor the activities of the enemy. Before even you go down to have a nap, make sure that every situation that you have is cleared with the Lord, so that you don't take your sleep even as for granted. A friend of mine called me and told me, Pastor, there is not a single time I've never had an attack. So then I have to break the news to him that, you know what, there is something that you are revolving in and what you are doing, that you have opened yourself to the enemy to attack you. If you can be very serious with yourself and just look within, whatever that it is, you will get out of these attacks and all these silly attacks that you're talking about. He said, Pastor, what do you mean by that? I said, I mean that there is something you are involved in which you continue doing, which it doesn't please God. So the enemy knows exactly. And behold, the man told me of a story. He said that I started chatting online on Facebook with somebody that I was only just having fun. And then I started from one conversation. It led to another conversation, and it led to another conversation. I said, look through your circle and see when it began, when the attacks began. It's way down the road. I said, that is it. Even though you have not committed on anything intimately, your conversation is leading you into that attack. And the devil senses it and smells that you are not right with the Lord. Say, wow. So I said, the moment you repent of this, you forestall your integrity, and the enemy will shut up and he will never come in. 5 days later, he called me, Pastor, that is working like magic. He never confessed before me. He did it on his own. But after that, that dreams and attacks and all things ceased. Because when your integrity is compromised, the devil will come in. Write it everywhere. That will just be something that you can read. Anytime your integrity is compromised, the devil will attack. It doesn't matter whether your finances, it doesn't matter whether your children, it doesn't matter whatever that you have around you, the devil will attack because of your integrity is compromised. So this morning I wanted to just push it too hard for you. Don't ever blame God. Don't ever raise a question and ask God, why me? Because why me tells you that you're above those that should experience what you are going through, and it's the ploy of what? Pride. And when a seed of pride enters you, you have really invited the enemy on his onslaught. So this morning, don't ever think that I am singled out. I don't deserve this. And when these things are coming by your action or by your inaction, it can really speak of a very great volume that you are entering into the area of pride. May God help us. May God build us up so that we will never get into the presence of God thinking that we are supposed to be the best people, but rather we go in humility and ask God, God, forgive me. You see, when God calls you humble, it's not the one who folds the hand and walks slowly. Humility is the one who identifies his sin and recognize it and tell God to forgive him. That's the one God calls humility. In our sense of humility, it is when you fold your hands at your back and you walk slowly and bows your head down looking. They say, this man is a very humble man. That's what we say. But God sees the humble man is the one who can go to God and never be proud and ask God, God, can you give me this? But I will tell God, God, I am a sinner. Cleanse me and purge me and make me pure. This is the man. God says that he will get out of the prayer with all his requests being met. Why? This person did not even ask God, help me a breakthrough in my finances. But I asked God that, God, peradventure I sin against you. Can you do me a favor? Cleanse me out. Because when all these things are out of my way, I'll have my way through whatever I desire on this earth. It's sin that will become a word that I will not be able to do what. If this is you, I tell you, you will walk out of this morning having all your requests met without even asking God for protection, without asking God for safety, without asking God to move you ahead. But you are asking God for something that God will consider you a man after my heart. Every time you talk about David, you talk about the sin of David, but you never knew the part of David that talks that he's a man after God's heart. Anytime he breaks down, anytime he sees himself compromised, he ran back to God and asked God for forgiveness. That's why God called him a man after his heart. A man after God's heart is the man God calls him humble. Are you humble this morning? So now you know the perspective of being humble is the one who will not. Let me show you some secret. The moment you get to God, it doesn't matter, because sometimes your eye will see something that you're not supposed to. That is not direct sin, but something that is an indirect, but you will be involved in. Does God hold you? Yes, God holds you responsible for you. Allowing your eye to see it, your mouth to speak it, your hand to touch it, it is the same weight like you have committed it. And so in that sense, you ask God for forgiveness. God, help me. I don't know what my eye has seen that might defile me. I don't know what my mouth has spoken that has really impacted my life. I don't know that, God, that what I touched or what I am even considering in me that might just defile my whole being. God, wash me. I know that you have the remedy, the hyssop of making me clean. If this is who you are, you will leave this line more humble than before. May God help us, and may God groom us, that we will never enter in the presence of God ever becoming people of pride. In Jesus' name, amen.